Now, money flows through a business in a predictable way.
Okay.
So in creating value, you're spending. Marketing, you're spending.
Right.
Sales, you're spending a little, but that's where the money comes in.
Right.
Value delivery, you're spending. And actually, finance,
You're probably spending on an accountant.
Yeah, you're spending time and energy figuring out how much money you've got. Okay? So there's a cycle here. Okay? And understanding how the cycle works, where money flows in, where money flows out, is very important if you're managing your purchasing power.
Yeah.
And this is a concept called the cash flow cycle.
Okay.
Now, there's a great quote by Charlie Barr.
Okay.
And it says, all truth is found in the cash account. Okay, it's easy to be optimistic.
No kidding.
It's easy to be idealistic when you're dealing with other people or you're talking or whatever. Your cash account, unless somebody is embezzling from your company, which is another issue entirely, your cash account will never lie to you. Okay, it will always tell you exactly how much money you've got, how much credit you have outstanding, what your current debts are, and where you stand.
Yeah,
okay?
Sobers you up.
Sobers you up very quickly. Okay, so understanding how cash moves through a business is very important. And because of purchasing power, running out of purchasing power is deadly.
Yeah.
It pays to know what your cash is doing, what part of the cycle you're in,
Right.
and how to manage that effectively.
Right.
Okay, so if you're trying to maximize your purchasing power, how would you go about doing that? What's important?
Well, you need to have as much cash as possible and not owe
Yes.
as much as possible.
Right. Okay. And there's a couple of ways to do that. So effectively, and we'll talk about this when we get to systems, but your cash represents a pool of resources. Think of it like water in a sink.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. You want the water in your cash sink to be as high as possible. Okay. So there are a couple of things that go into that. If you want the water in your sink to rise, what do?
Put in more
Yep.
and not let any out.
Exactly.
Okay.
Your cash account works exactly the same way. Okay? So if you want to maximize the amount of cash you have on hand, there's a couple things you can do. You can make more sales. You can also get paid as quickly as possible for those sales.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of businesses extend credit on sales.
Right.
Which is, you've made a sale, you may have even delivered the value, but you haven't gotten paid yet. And there are thousands, probably millions of businesses who have made a ton of sales, on paper.
Absolutely.
They've made a lot of money, but they go bankrupt because they don't have the cash from those sales in their bank accounts and they run out of purchasing power.
Definitely know that story.
That's an issue, okay? General rule of thumb, if you can avoid it at all possible, do not extend credit to your customers. Never. You are a business, you are not a bank. If they need credit, they can go to a bank and get credit. That's the bank's business. Okay? Your business is delivering value. Get paid for that value as quickly as you possibly can. So, a lot of like in business schools, they'll talk about, you can sell so much more if you extend credit, net 10, net 15, net 30, net 60, net 90, whatever. As a business person, or theoretically, you could probably sell more if you extend credit because there's less of a risk that, I don't have money right now. You're basically just transferring that risk to running out of purchasing power by extending credit, by not getting your money quickly enough. Yeah. So general rule of thumb, you're a business, not a bank. Don't extend credit to your customers. Okay, so that's money coming in. More customers, more sales, and then the money comes in faster. Actually, if at all possible, get the money before you ever provide the value. There's a business that create beds. It's called Select Comfort.
Oh, yeah.
They actually have a Select Comfort bed. It's great.
Very nice.
The wonderful thing about Select Comfort's business, if you study their financials, they are paid for the bed in full before they ever order components, before the bed is manufactured, before the bed is delivered. They have their money up front, which is a wonderful situation to be in because they don't necessarily have to invest, in all this inventory that they have to manage. They get the money, and then they can use that to create the value and deliver the product. It's a wonderful situation to be in if you can manage it.
And I guess as long as they can do it quickly enough to make the people happy, then it's a good thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so that's increasing the inflow. Decreasing the outflow can take on one of two forms. Number one is simply spending less.
Yeah.
If your overhead is as little as possible, if your variable costs are as low as possible, you're spending less money. That's a good thing. The fourth thing is if you are operating on credit for other businesses, you can actually pay them later. Okay? You have to pay them at some point. But if you can manage to pay them as late as possible, that maximizes the amount of purchasing power that you have
Interesting. In a certain time.
in a certain time. Now, another caveat there too. Okay, this is a very much a business school thing too, as you know, pay the people you owe money as late as possible. It sounds good. It works out mathematically. On a regular, ongoing psychological basis, better to pay your creditors either cash or as quickly as you possibly can, just so you have to keep track of less.
Yeah.
Okay? You're also, you know, it also, you don't want to strain relationships with the people who are providing value to you. And so, personally, you know, yes, there may be some financial advantages to stringing
Having
out
more. Yeah.
stringing out your payment of your debt as long as possible. Personally, I err to the side of if you owe somebody money, pay it back as quickly as you possibly can. With one exception, actually,
Okay.
and that is money that is spent on marketing. And there are things like trade terms that if you can pay for marketing upfront, you know, let's say you're doing Google AdWords,
Okay.
and you can have an advertisement now, but you don't have to pay for it until 60 days after that. That's 60 days where you can make a sale,
Right.
deliver the value, have cash in the bank
That can pay for the
that
original.
can pay for, yes, and basically
That's
you can,
pretty cool, actually.
yeah. So there's a very nice cycle there that, you know, if you borrow money for promotional purposes that you've already tested and know work,
I can see that. Okay.
you can use that to actually get more customers in, which creates your
Nice,
cash.
nice.
Okay, so
Okay.
that's really nice. Actually, the only set, or the only thing that I have on my business is actually a business American Express called the Plum Card, which allows you to do that essentially for any purchase on your credit card. So that's really the only way that I personally apply that. In general, pay the people you owe money as quickly as possible. Yes, you can increase your cash flow. The psychological element of things to keep track of isn't worth it. So to maximize your cash flow, money coming in as quickly as possible, money flowing out as late as possible, and that's how you maximize your purchasing power at any given time in your business.